I wish that this was coming to you under happier circumstances. Navah Hopkins, and the rest of Mark's PPC pals just wanted to share our deepest, deepest condolences. And we wanted to share with you what Mark meant to us when he wasn't home with you, and how much of a gift it was for us to get to experience his light, his laughter, his brilliant, brilliant perspective. You're gonna hear a couple of different thoughts from a couple of different people. They range from a minute to 5 minutes. You also should be receiving from us, Mark's PPC pals, flowers, some cupcakes, and then also we made a donation in Mark's name, and we sent along also a physical penguin that should be named Mark. The certificate should say Mark. If it doesn't, please let us know. We'll go yell at people. And I just wanted to kind of set the stage for what you will be hearing before I get into my own thoughts. So when we all heard about Mark's passing, it was a true shock, and we can't possibly imagine the pain and the hurt that you must be feeling. We wanted to share with you how much he improved our lives and what his amazing, amazing life did beyond just being brilliant and beyond just being absolutely fashionable and sassy while doing it. Mark was a tour de force, and you're going to hear from people ranging in perspectives. And we hope that these words of what Mark meant to us provide some degree of comfort and closure. And while nothing can ever, ever, ever replace the amazing force for good that was Mark, we just wanted to share with you how much he meant to us. So my personal thoughts on Mark. Mark was my work life big brother. He just always was looking out for me. I really appreciated how much he was my conference buddy and kind of my home away from home when we would travel to different conferences, either together or we happened to be at the same conference and we'd see each other. He really helped me become a better version of myself, whether it was working with people and kind of understanding people, which Mark had that down pat, whether it was presenting information in a way that would get people to listen. Mark's uncanny ability to just capture a room and help people find the humor and the enjoyment in the most random things. He was just amazing. But more importantly than that, Mark was an ally. He showed up every day for people that maybe wouldn't have had a voice otherwise. And there are stories I could tell about how much he showed up for me, about how much he showed up for other folks. But the story I'm going to share is actually the story that helped me understand that Mark was my friend. I had this presentation I was giving. He not only sat in the audience and cheered me on and really was there, he waited to make sure that at the end of the day, and it was at the end of the day, this presentation, he stayed and made sure I knew I did good. And it was at that moment I realized that I had one of the truest friends in Mark, and I hope he knew how much he meant to me. The other story I'll share that's a little bit sillier. It's a little silly. We were in Munich, and this was just an amazing trip for many reasons. We decided to go on kind of an exploration of Munich, and we stopped off at this brewery and had this liqueur doused cake that was supposed to be lit on fire to kind of crisp up the alcohol and make it sugary. And what ended up happening is it wouldn't light. So they kept dousing it with more alcohol. So by the time it finally was lit up, we were drinking beer and having this alcohol cake. And we were smashed. Of course, we had a speaker dinner to go to. So we were very much not in our best behavior. We were the silly Americans. Joe Martinez, he has a video coming up. We were just sitting there laughing our asses off, and it was just this amazing experience of there's no work, there's no stress, there's no nothing. There's just people having a good time and living in the moment and being present about what matters. And I think that is why Mark's do less mantra meant so much to me, is he helped me and so many other people understand why we needed to do things for us, not for a company, not for work, not for some ridiculous other thing. Just live your life for you. And Mark's life was way too short. He had so much star power. He was so good. I truly, truly love that man as a brother, and I am so, so sorry for your loss. Thank you for sharing Mark with the rest of the world. And if there is anything any of us can do to help ease the passing, please, please let us know. Take care. Bye.
Hi, my name is John. What can I say other than I'm heartbroken today? Mark was an amazing human being. He was brilliant. He was funny, as only Mark could be funny. He brought his authentic self into everything that he did. As a writer, as a speaker, as a peer in this wonderful and amazing industry that he and I shared. There's nothing that I or pretty much anybody else can say that'll make any of this better or easier. Just know that he touched the hearts and minds of countless people, and his impact has been felt and will continue to be felt for a long time to come. So from myself, my family, to yours, my condolences. Sending all the love.
Hey, my name is Kirk Wiliams, and I knew Mark for years, traveling and speaking in PPC. So I don't think I saw Mark other than traveling at conferences. And Mark is always one of the guys that I loved hanging out with. We would chat about PPC. He would have some sort of snarky comments about whatever it might be that we were talking about, particular clients or boss or whatever, and just kind of his Mark way with kind of that smile. And one thing I love about Mark is he was obviously a shy guy, but super intelligent and witty, right? So whenever he'd be telling a story, he wouldn't necessarily be making eye contact with you, but there'd be that smile on his face. Man, I just want to say that Mark was a good dude. Really sorry that he's gone, and just our thoughts and our hearts are with you all in this time of loss.
Hey Bobby, my name is Brooke Osmundson, and I first met Mark about probably 11 years ago now, from PPC conferences in the industry. And I remember my first conference, and I was 23 years old, like literally fresh out of college. And I remember seeing Mark speak, and the first thought in my mind was, I need to be his friend. We had like the same sarcastic personality, and even though I got to only see him a couple times a year, and then thank you COVID, didn't get to see him for a couple of years in between, but it was so nice to just connect with him every time we got to see each other. And our most recent, the last time I got to see him, we were at the Delano Hotel. We were at the 65th floor having a drink, and that was probably my favorite memory of us just talking about how how to do less and just enjoy our life, and how can we quit our full-time jobs and just like literally live our lives to the fullest. And he's somebody I will never forget, and he's one of the few that has matched my sarcastic personality. And it was such a blessing to know him, and I wanted to say how sorry I am, and I will be thinking of him every day, and you and your family. So
first, I'm so sorry for your loss. My name is Andrea. And I wanted to take the time to share just how wonderful Mark was to me as a person in the digital marketing community. He was so insightful and thoughtful. We call them thought leaders in the industry, but I wanted to share this one time. I lived in Boston. Technically, at the time, I lived in Somerville, if you want. But I was in the T, and I looked to my side. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Mark Arvin. I think it's him." I was like, I don't deserve to go and say hello to him. Part A. Part B, I thought, I'm not sure. And then part C, I was like, I am no one to go and say hi to him. So I'm just gonna send him a private message on Twitter, because I am no one to say hello to him. And I remember texting him and saying, "Hey Mark, I believe I saw you on the subway on the T, and I just wanted to say hi, and I think you're very cool." I mean, so kindly, obviously, he replied to me, and he was like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't have come and say hi to him." But that was the type of regard I had to him. I am not worthy to say hi to you. I still don't think I am. Because the amount of insight I was able to get out of just listening to him at conferences, of reading his thoughtful POVs or point of views from our industry. I just wanted to say thank you. I share your loss. As someone that has lost a family member, I do believe time heals everything, and I am sorry for that. I do believe you. There's a tomorrow. With that said, I do hope you have a good day, and I appreciate everything that he did for us.
Like many people in the search industry, I got to know Mark through the many, many conferences and events that we attended over the years. While Mark was obviously brilliant, what I loved the most was his sincerity and, of course, his biting wit. His sarcasm was second to none. He somehow managed to make PPC funny. But Mark was so much more than his sense of humor or his job. He was honest and kind, and one of those people who, no matter how long it had been, your friendship just didn't skip a beat. I am immensely grateful for the time that we got to spend together. I truly believe we are all better for having him in our lives. And I just want to say thank you, Mark, and I will miss you.
Hi, my name is Joe Martinez. Honestly couldn't tell you when I actually first met Mark, because our industry is kind of weird, where a lot of us met on Twitter first with weekly, what they called PPC chats, where people shared knowledge. And Mark was there from when I started. He was already there before. So I always knew from the get-go Mark was a very smart guy. But when we actually met couldn't remember what year, at a Google Dance after party for a conference in San Jose. Always knew that he was a hilarious person from that point on, and we found out pretty quickly that our sense of humors were pretty close. Everything was fair game, and yeah, we stayed professional, but we always had a ton of fun. So that's the part I always remember the most. And there's always things, throughout my life since I met Mark, where something happens, it was a joke that was said, it just makes me think of Mark, and I'd crack up to myself. We always had those playful jokes, but it's been just something that he's helped me in my career for a very short time. I was trying to do a search organization in town. Mark willingly came and spoke at it 1 month. Mark was a reason who hooked me up with my first paid writing gig at WordStream. So I did that as long as I could until life got too busy with kids. I think one of my favorite moments was, I think it was the second last conference. It was the February before COVID. Mark moderated my presentation, and he didn't know that I took pictures. I Facebook stalked him. And then I took all the best Mark pictures I could find and then put them in the presentation. He had no idea I was doing it. I did not ask his permission either. And then got a good bunch of laughs in the presentation. So when it was time for Q&A afterwards, I got a good Mark side-eye look and be like, well, thanks for that wonderful presentation, Joe. That beautiful sarcasm that I'm going to miss like crazy. So that's definitely one of my favorite work moments of Mark, and just having fun pretty much wherever we were, even if we were kind of being a little bit sick of the industry at certain times. We always made the best of it whenever we got together. But really since COVID, I haven't traveled for work or really haven't spoken much at conferences. I kind of stopped that with life. So I was very, very excited to meet up with Mark last month. The kids for spring break wanted to go to sunny, super warm, tropical Boston. and we did. And Mark got to meet up with us, met my wife and kids, for the first time, hung out for hours at Harpoon. It was good to catch up because I haven't seen him for years before that. So I'm absolutely grateful for that moment. And I always had one final, I call it my Mark moments. We did the Boston Tea Party thing that day, and I had the city pass. So we had this observation deck pass, and I just Googled observation deck, and there was one a block away from the Boston Tea Party Museum. It was in this building, and there was this crappy little, on the 3rd story observation deck. So Mark was like, oh, I love that place. How is it? And I was like, that place kind of sucked. It's kind of a waste of time. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like the observation deck with the full 360 view? And I was like, no, it's this crappy little office building a block away. And I got another side Joe. No. And then so that was the last day there. So he actually told us where the real observation deck was. Kids loved it. That was pretty much the last thing we did before we had to fly out the next day. So Mark gave my kids one final moment, and we all got to laugh that Daddy screwed up. So it was hilarious. But I am doing one more show this year for work. It just won't be the same without Mark. No show will be the same without Mark. He was always one of my hangout buddies. So always love him, miss him dearly, and everything that made me laugh and chuckle, just random memories that'll pop up from all the work stuff. I'll never forget them, and they'll always make me smile as time goes on. So prayers and much love to all of Mark's family and friends who knew him a hell of a lot better than I did. Just let him know that all of his work friends and family loved him too.
Hi, my name is Francine Rodriguez. I worked with Mark at WordStream for 7 years. He was my teacher, my mentor, such an inspiration. When I first started working there, he dedicated so much time to teaching me, and he really didn't have to do that. And I would not be where I'm at in my life and in my career today without him. I owe so much of how I grew as a professional and as a person to all those things that he taught me so long ago. And when I would see him doing all these big speeches and conferences, I realized I wanted to do that too. And him, along with so many others, helped me create my own career in conferences. And that just led to such a beautiful path of my life. So I owe a lot to Mark. So to you, his family, and Bobby, I wish you so much strength. I give you so much love. And I just hope that wherever Mark is, there's lots of penguins and sharks, hockey, and Big Brother.
There are so many great memories and stories from working with Mark at WordStream, but one of my favorite was when I was actually interviewing at WordStream, and he was in the interview room with me. I thought it was going well, and then all of a sudden he started like shifting around in his seat, kind of looking up, and I was like, oh no, he's getting bored. He doesn't like what I'm saying. And all of a sudden he got up abruptly and left the room. I'm just sitting there like, oh no, this is not good. He comes back in a couple minutes later and he apologizes and he's like, I'm so sorry. I cut my finger on your resume. So it's like, this is not a good omen, is it? And we were able to laugh at that story later. And thankfully I was able to still get the job and work with Mark. Have so many great memories of traveling to different work events with him and just, chats in the office, going on lunch breaks. And Mark was just such an entertaining personality who just really did make every day more entertaining, funnier, brighter when you were around him. So there's obviously no words I can say to make sense of this or make anything better. I've been thinking about Mark all weekend, and I'm still a bit in shock, but just wanted to send some words of love and encouragement to Mark's friends and family. We're all feeling the void, of his loss now, but the good thing is I think we all have so many great memories of him that will live on with all of us. That he was such a special person, and so very sorry for the loss, and sending love and hugs to everyone who knew Mark and all his friends and family.
Hi there, my name's Erin. I had the joy of getting to know Mark over the course of a decade or so. He and I shared stages together at conferences. We appeared in pieces of content together. But more importantly, I think we shared quite a few meals together, quite a few adventures, and quite a few drinks at various happy hours. I always remember Mark for his just general happiness. I mean, he always had this sense of joy. He had a great sense of humor, of course, and very witty, and of course, supremely smart. But I think the thing that made him and what made him so special was his willingness and his nature to share all those different tenets of his personality and make sure that everyone around him was feeling the same way. Certainly he devoted most of his working life to making people around the world as smart as they could, sharing what he knew so they could hopefully absorb part of it and become better themselves. And I mean, during the fun times, he always made sure to go out of his way to make sure everyone around him was having a great time. And he seemed to have just an innate sense of joy wherever he was, and whether he knew it or not, whether intentional or not, he always made sure to share that joy with others. And his wit, he was quick. I always thought, if this search marketing thing didn't work out for him long term, that he would make a great talk show host or comedian. He always had quick one-liners to add levity to any situation, or to poke fun at those that he was close to, almost like having a sibling that I only got to see a couple times a year at conferences. He was one of a kind. He's going to be greatly missed, and really just want to express my sympathies to all of you and all who have ever met him.
Hi, my name is Akvile, and I'm a friend of Mark's. I met him 15 years ago, give or take, at a marketing conference, and I saw him speak, and we became friends over the years. He's just a rare gem of a human. really impacted a lot of people's lives in a very positive way, including my own. I learned from him. I progressed my career because of him. And he always, never failed at making people laugh or smile at the very least, or deeply ponder his very intellectual, witty, candid thoughts about so many things in life. But he'll be truly missed, and he made such a wonderful impact on so many people.
This is definitely a harder video to make, but I met Mark on Twitter, like a lot of other people in our industry. And because we work on data, I kind of look back to think, how long have I been having side conversations with Mark on Twitter? And it's been years and years. I mean, a lot of years. And we just always had just the funniest little conversations. And to give a little context, a lot of how we treat Twitter in our industry is almost like an IM, what I had for lunch or this or that. And Mark was just always there for the laugh or the little quick tidbit to make you smile for the day. I mean, some of the conversations we had were like, I was complaining one day about my kids getting fingerprints on the fridge, or I one time made a typo and said something about like abs, but I meant to say ads. He was correcting that, and it was always just fun with him, always goofy, and he was really, really an amazing, amazing person. And like I said, he was an internet friend, but such a great person to follow and watch and engage with, and he made the day better for people like me. So we're gonna miss him, and I send the deepest condolences to his friends and family. He impacted all of us in our industry more than I can even put words to.
Anyone who had the pleasure of knowing Mark knows what a force he was. He was famous at work for always being this absolutely brilliant analytical mind. He was also known for his infectious grin and kind of unparalleled sass. And although he would absolutely never admit it, he was also known for being a really sweet guy and a huge softie at heart. He cared really deeply for those that he was close with. He was the kind of guy who you would have in your corner forever. And he was the kind of person you wanted to go to the bar with and have fun with. And you also wanted him there when things were not so great. Because he always knew what to say, and he always knew kind of how to make you laugh about the tough stuff. So Mark, yeah, we're gonna miss you. A huge loss, and yeah, grateful to have known you. We love you.